Good day, everyone. Today I will be discussing one of the countries in Southeast Asia, which is Thailand. So let's start first with asking a question. What makes a country to have a good governance? So according to Weatherby 2004, we can evaluate the quality of governance with the success of or failure of in attaining the major goals of governance, which includes the securing and defending the integrity of the state, providing for public order and domestic security, promoting political, social, and economic policies in the interest of the public government, implementing those policies fairly, and lastly is mobilizing and deploying the resources necessary to perform the task of governance. So today we are going to assess whether Thailand has a good governance. Let's start with the country profile of Thailand. Thailand is the heart of Southeast Asia. It is bordered by the Gulf of Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos to the east and northwest, while Myanmar lies in the northwest. So Bangkok is the country's capital, chief seaport, and largest city. Thailand is divided into 76 provinces, subdivided into more than 800 districts, more than 7,000 communes, and some 70,000 villages. This is from the CIA 2017 and World Bank 2017. Thailand has a population of 68.4 million in 2017. In 2018, it became 69.43 million. So this country was never colonized because Thai kings before has a good diplomat with foreigners, and the form of governance is constitutional monarchy since 1932 after the rapid social change conflicts between new and old elites, and the fallout of the Great Depression, which weakened the power of the absolute monarchy. So Thailand was not just an integrative symbol, but remained the driving force behind the transformation of Thailand. So Thailand suffered a political crisis, which may result to um, damage of image and legitimacy because of the excessive application of the law on majesty, which is the insulting the monarchy, and it may result to 15 years of imprisonment. The total area in of Thailand is 513,120 kilometers squared. The current constitution proclaimed is 2017 constitution, but throughout the Thailand history, there were 20 constitutions from 1932 to 2017, according to Trimas and Howard 2008, Cossain 2018. The head of the state is King Vajiralongkorn Ramadi X. Since Thailand is a constitutional monarchy, rules of royal successions are laid down in the 1924 Law of Succession according to Rule of Succession Law according to Handley 2006. So King Bhumipol Adulyadej ascended to the throne in 1946, and during his seventh decade of his reign, the monarchy achieved a position of paramountcy over the institution of modern democracy, parliament, constitution, and rule of law. So following the death of the king, Bhumipol Adulyadej, Crown Prince Vajiralongkorn took the throne as Ramadi X. So according to some observers, uh, the new king lacks the predecessor's gravitas and reputation that may result to uncertainty of the monarchy's survival. Kay nagpuyo man siya sa Europe. So pag pili ka siya po sa mga tao compared sa past na king. So mao ni si King Bhumipol Adulyadej Ramadi ninth and King Mahavajiralongkorn Ramadi tenth. And this is the timeline of the monarchs throughout the history. Next is the GDP per capita according to Purchasing Power Parity 2015 is 16,340 and it raised up to 20,365 in 2019. So Thai is the official language and it is a member of in the Chinese language family. English is taught in secondary schools, tertiary schools, and ginagamit siya as a commerce and also in the government. The head of the state is Prime Minister General Pero Chanocha since 2014 after the military coup of Yingluck Shinawatra reignement. So the ethnic groups, Thai has 75%, Chinese has 24%, others is 11%, which includes the Malay and Bamar ethnic groups. So this is the timeline of the prime ministers throughout the history. So in democracy, according to the BTI 2016, it only reached 3.3% and it is still the same in 2020. So as you can see, layo rin siya sa target nga 10. So it means nga wala gyud na execute tarong ang democracy sa Thailand. Buddhism, well, the system of government is under the government of military, which includes the cabinet members. And Buddhism was the first religion that Thailand adopted, and it has 94.6%. Muslim has 4.6%, and others, which includes Christianity and Hinduism, has 0.8% only. So let us now proceed on the political culture of Thailand. The relationship of people and ruler was in vertical division or hierarchy system. People were used to being ruled by the rulers and accepted that the people were not equal. So this concept of governing is totally different from the concept of democracy, which emphasizes on people's right and equality. So this is according to Prasert 2005. So not only the influence of Thai traditional value, but also the attitude about the politics as an affair of the ruling class and politicians are corrupt, which makes Thai people stop from getting involved in politics. So kaning Thai traditional value o kaning attitude sa politics na result sa being not active sa politics and it is being called as Thai style democracy. So political activist groups movement away from values, from fixed ideas and the rejection of former institution, globalization, capitalism, dominance of mass media may helps the people of Thailand to become on what they are right now, which is the political activities or should I say active na sila sa politics. So, ang hitabo sa una is ang political activist group moadto sila sa mga bukid-bukid para ilang influence tong mga nagpuyo didto, especially farmers. Ilang murag something somehow imalang i-manipulate na dapat ilahang kanang ipaglaban ang ilang rights as a farmer. So, ang kani pong mga tao dito na maengganyo po sila, so mulaog sila mo impress sila protesta, mura ni ang resulta sa the right to appeal for the result of the election, the media which consume information locally and globally, and also the political movement groups. So makita nato today, daghang garali sa Thailand to and has many demands on the government. So isa na siya sa result sa pag-influensya atong political activist groups. So kuning globalization, capitalism, doon sa mass media, nakatawang po ni siya sa pag-shape sa political culture karon sa Thailand. So mo to ang bago nga political culture sa Thailand is kanang makibaka na sila sa ilahang rights as a uh, Thailander. Other political cultures, which includes the military coups, happened 20 times in the history. 20 times, 20 times. So, 13 ana is successful, nga ang 8 ana is dili successful. So, after na military coup, na mahitabo nga change of constitution. So, throughout history, na siya 20 constitutions. So, daghan kayo, no? Kung i-compare na to sa Philippines, layo ragid kayo. Grabe ragid kadaghan ang 20. Lastly is corruption. So, ang corruption, murag na lagi na siya sa culture sa Thailand since the beginning of the improvement of Thailand nga ilang patron mangurap. So murag hantod karon nadala na tabi nila ba. So this is also according to uh, the book I have read. So this is the political institution. Let us start with the king, which is the head of the state of Thailand. Before, King Bhumipol and royalist has forged a modern form of monarchy as a para-political institution which is called the network monarchy. This is according to Macargo 2005. Under the network monarchy, the king intervened actively in political developments, largely by working through proxies such as the privy councillors and trusted military figures. So the power of the network monarchy relied on placing the right people, mainly the right men in the right jobs tapod. It is a body of appointed advisors to the monarch. So the council, as the constitution of Thailand stipulates, must be composed of no more than 18 members. The council is led by the president of Privy Council of Thailand, currently occupied by the former Prime Minister Surayud Chulanan since 2000, since May 27, 2019. Thailand has a bicameral parliamentary system and an executive branch. The head of the government is the Prime Minister. The king appoints the Prime Minister and the 35 council ministers who are responsible for the administration of state of affairs and establishing government policy. So the Council of Ministers may propose legislation for consideration by the National Assembly, and the endorsement of the Prime Minister is required for the introduction of money bills. So sa una, ang Prime Minister dapat daw magikan dapat member sa House of Representatives, but in 2017 Constitution pwede na nga wala. And it is still chosen as by the full legislature gyapon, including the military appointed Senate. So the Prime Minister may hold office for more than 8 consecutive years. The legislative branch, legislative power is exercised by the National Assembly, which consists the House of Representatives, which is House of Representatives and the Senate. So the House of Representatives has 500 members who serve 4 years term. Of those members, 350 are elected directly from the 157 multi-representative constituencies. The remaining 150 members are elected from party listed and are chosen based on the proportion of votes casted by the constituents in 8 groupings of provinces. So under the 2017 Constitution, ang Senate kay na siya 250 members na dungagan. In judicial branch, the court has responsibility for trying and adjudicating cases. So the Constitution provides for 4 types of courts. First is the Constitutional Court of the Kingdom of Thailand, the Court of Justice, the Administrative Courts, and the Military Courts. So as you can see, red ang colors sa constitutional organs kay lahi na siya nga kuan pod. So the constitutional organs have autonomy in personal budgeting and other activities as provided by applicable law. So the Constitution also provides for the following additional constitutions. First is the Election and Commission, the Ombudsman, National Counter-Corruption Commission, NCCC, National Human Rights Commission, and State Audit Commission. So there are two notable political leaders. First is Thaksin Shinawatra from 2001 to 2006, and his government spearheaded the programs to reduce poverty, expand infrastructure, implement universal healthcare coverage, and promote small business, making him incredibly popular to the rural Thailand. He also managed to achieve drug reform in the kingdom, though the controversial campaign launched 3 months of violence in the south. So, kaya siya na-elect ni siya, na-re-elect since he was the first prime minister and na-re-elect siya pagka 2006 pero nahawa gyapon na apil siya sa na naka-experience siya og military coup kay according sa nabasa. So kani siya karon ani siya sa Dubai na nag-self-imposed exile. So until today he is very influential in Thailand and some of those people who are protesting are on his party. Second one is King Bhumibol Adulyadej, the beloved king who died in 2016 and was the longest ruling monarch in modern history, 70 years, surpassing the UK's Queen Elizabeth II. So he is near universal revered throughout the kingdom and even considered by many as a demigod. Under his rule, he traveled widely throughout the country and actively pursued rural development projects aimed at alleviating poverty throughout his kingdom and promoted the philosophy of a sufficient economy focused on balanced development based on social responsibility and economic progress. So his stabilizing presence enables the mediation in events of crisis throughout his leadership. And during his reign, Thailand enjoys its longest period of democracy. So his legacy is not without controversy, but in a large party, he represented a consistent symbol of unity and promise for the Thai people. So in short, nindot siya nga leader. So let's proceed with political dynamics and system capabilities. In political dynamics, political changes in Thailand starts with absolute to constitutional monarchy. So as I have said before, that the form of government is constitutional monarchy since 1932 after rapid social change, conflict of the new and old elites, pag-down sa Great Depression. So, moto siya na weaken ang absolute monarchy and depuli ang constitutional monarchy. So, there are changes in their political culture kaning sa people and kaning sa corruption. So, from walang pakialam to an active Thai protester or an active Thai itawag ani kanang basta active siya sa politics. And it is in their culture that they should change constitution after a coup d'etat. The legitimacy of the monarchy has a rapid change after the death of Ramadi IX, and people want to reform the monarchy to minimize its political power. Kay grabe na kay siya kapila-pilon, which results to issues like the resentment of some prime ministers and katong gipahawa si Thaksin Shinawatra sa iyang position as prime minister. So ihapon tong mga ihang mga through his approvement pilapilon ra kayo siya na wala na siya sa lugar. So the system capabilities in Thailand is the lèse majesté, which is the insulting of the monarchy, may result to 10 years of imprisonment, and the military coup or coup d'etat is the removal of an existing government from the power. So kani siya kaya niya kanang bawgon ang kanang balaod para lang makabuhat aning military kus para lang mahawa sa posisyon ang certain nga leader. Next is the military rule. So, ang result ani sa dili pagtuman sa nga balaod, just like on the issue of freedom of speech that was being restricted in Thailand. So, ang Thailand ani nag-establish og junta called the National Council of Peace and Order, the NCPO, to govern the nation. So, muna siya ang power sa executive and legislative is sa leader and order the judicial branch to operate under its directives. So, sa situation karon sa Thailand na mao ni ang situation karon sa Thailand. So, Prime Minister was elected to the NCPO. So, walay choice yun ang tao kundi magrally para pahawaon siya sa iyang posisyon. Next is hegemony. So, in 1997 Constitution induced a number of unintended consequences. So, the most significant being Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawtra's rise to near hegemonic power. So, this is according to Kuhunta 2008. So, kato siya medyo taas-taas man ang pag-rule niya sa Thailand. So, kato po nga time, iyang gihimo nga isa ka party ang sa government, sa House of Representatives. So, iha ta ng mga batos-batos. Kato mga nagpuyo sa bukid, iha hapod kay tungod itong political activist groups nga ni-influence sa ilaha. So, moto until today, dako gyapon siya impact sa Thailand. So, let us now proceed with issues and challenges in Thailand. So, I have classified here the 3 types of issues in Thailand: the environment, political, and health issues. So, let us start with the environment issues, including climate change, deforestation, air pollution in Thailand that has been ranked the world's 23rd most polluted country, and Bangkok ranks 24th in the list of the cities with critical air quality globally according to the 2018 World Air Quality Report. So, kani siya, ang nakakosa niya is kaning PM 2.5 dust. So, kani sa water crisis, the severe flooding in the rainy season and the extreme drought in the dry season could be the 2 major sources of the Thailand water crisis. So, kani siya nga mga problema becomes a significant issue in Thailand. Next is political issues. First, kaning reform of monarchy, resignation of Prime Minister Chan O-chan, the free expression was the demands of the people right now in Thailand. Kay gusto nila baguhon yun ilang sistema. Kaya wala sila nalipay wala sila na-oppress. So, reform of monarchy. Thai people, especially the students who protested in the past months in this year, wants to reform the monarchy to minimize its political power. So, the resignation of Prime Minister Chan O-cha and dissolving the parliament is also part of the demands that the Thai people want. So, according to one activist, the king is at the pinnacle of the hierarchy. The government born of a coup d'etat has borrowed legitimacy of the monarchy to justify seizing power and instituting a political order that reserves power for an unelected elite. So they also want to reform the constitution. The freedom expression acting on the junta's order, authorities have routinely enforced censorship and threatened media outlets with punishment and closure if they publicize information critically of military rule and the monarchy or raise issues considered to be sensitive to the national security. May pareha ba siya sa Philippines? What do you think? So, Thai authorities often disrupted academic seminars and public discussion about the state of human rights and the democracy in Thailand. So, the military detention and courts, military authorities can secretly detain people for a wide range of offense without charge and access to lawyers. Pwede ra ka torturon din to og di ka mo tug-an dira nga wala ka mo ang kalibutan nga gitorture na day ka dito. So next is the enforced disappearance and torture. So Thailand signed the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance in January 2012, but has yet to ratify the treaty. So the penal code does not recognize enforced disappearance as a criminal offense. So kani pong sa human rights defenders, the government pledges to develop measures to protect human rights defenders, but it is still unfulfilled in 2018. Sumuro sila nag-char-char ani, buhat-buhat lag mga balaod nga walay plano ipatupad para lang na mapakita sa mga tao, inana lang. So the killings of more than 30 human rights defenders and civil society activists since 2001 remain unsolved. O yung mosolbad kaya di man muling ang government ani kay andok makita ilahang katag. So next one is the gender equality. While Thailand enacted the Gender Equality Act in 2015, ang pag-implement na pod ang problema. Mao gyapon buhat-buhat gihapon og mga balaod nga way plano ipa-implement. Basta kay naibalaod pero wala implementation, so useless gihapon, mura gihapon wala. So lastly is corruption. It is rampant in Thailand. So according po sa libro atong akong gibasa, most of the prime ministers are kanang gi-issuehan nga fraud, bribery, bisag unsa na lang. Unang mahawa sila sa as a prime minister pareha ni Thaksin Shinawatra ni Inglat Shinawatra Yegsuon mo na siya. So let us now proceed with the changes and developments in Thailand. So kaning picture kani akong gipili, it's because this is the most intriguing changes in Thailand. So from being abused, tortured, oppressed for too long, Thailanders are now ready to stand for their right. So this picture has 10,000 people joining the run against dictatorship in Bangkok, with some runners also giving the three-finger salute made popular by the Hunger Games. So mo ni ilahang paagi sa ilahang protesta. Nindot kay ni siya nga panghitabo, it's because hanay siya, dili siya gubot. So murag nangampanya ka pinaagi sa pagdagan lang ba. So last one, I compared Thailand with Cambodia. So as you can see in that red color in the circle, in the middle of the circle, so na siya, mo na siya ang Cambodia. So kung i-compare na to yung democracy status, hapit-hapit ra gyud siya sa Thailand. Maguwang lang ang Thailand og mga 3 ka buwan. The economic status is very layo kayo. The governance performance is layo pod kayo. So it means mas lala pa ang Cambodia compared to Thailand, even if they have the same system, which is the constitutional monarchy and bicameral parliamentary gihapon ilahang system. So they also have His Majesty but in Thailand it is 15 years of imprisonment, while in Cambodia 5 years lang siya. So according to my research, ang kaning Les Majesté sa Cambodia is inspired by Thailand. So Thailand was never colonized ni. Wrong ba na yun? Was never colonized by was never colonized throughout the history. So ang kaning pong kaning Cambodia na colonized ni sila sa France. So never mind that colonized by France kay nasayop na siya. Overall, if we go back to whether this basis on having a good governance, I can say that uh, Thailand is very far from it, especially nowadays that Thai people are protesting not just on the government but also in the on the monarchy. So this is the result if a certain leader did not do his duty to fulfill the demands of the people. Mga siya, gubot kayo ang Thailand karon kung hunahon pero si Prime Minister Prayut kay decline niya ang demand sa protesters. Kaya di man siya gusto mo na og sa iyang posisyon. Power is everything ba ya? So, when it comes to securing and defending the integrity of the state, maybe dili kayo since gubot man mismo ang Thailand. So, saan man niya pag-protect ang state itself kung iyang sulod is gubot, di ba? And providing for public order and domestic security, saan man pag-provide og public order nga kuan na pud kayo siya kanang harsh ra siya sa iyang mga katawhan. Muna nag-revolt na ang Thailanders karon. So, in promoting political, social, and economic policies in the interest of public good, so naalagi mga policies nga gi-implement. Kaso, ang pag-execute na pod, wala gihapon, unfulfilled, para sa gender equality, sa katong public defenders, wala gihapon, di ba? So, I don't think na nabuhat ni nila. Implementing those policies fairly. Dili yun siya fair kay the bias man yun na ang kuan politics. Murag isig pa kuan ay man kanang isig pa kanang pilitay murag leech ba murag pilit ka kung kinsay kusog. So lastly is mobilizing and deploying the resources necessary to perform the task of governance. So what do you think? Nabuhat ba ni nila? Based sa ako ang discussion. So, ikaw na mo answer ana ha para nakoy challenge ba. So mao to siya. Thank you and God bless.